Let's start with the weird underwater sounds and slowly work our way towards the most genuinely disturbing ones on the list. Number 10, the bloop. In 1997, underwater microphones positioned across the Pacific picked up a sound. Not just any sound. This thing was loud enough to be detected by sensors over 3,000 miles apart. The frequency matched a living creature. But here's the problem. To produce a noise that powerful, the animal would need to be significantly larger than a blue whale, and blue whales are already the biggest animals ever known to exist on this planet. The sound came from a remote point in the South Pacific, rose rapidly in frequency over about 1 minute, then vanished. Scientists at NOAA recorded it, analyzed it, argued about it. For years, the leading theory was icequake, a massive chunk of ice breaking off and scraping the ocean floor. Except the acoustic signature didn't quite match. It had this organic quality, this breathing rhythm that ice doesn't produce. To this day, if you ask a marine biologist what made the bloop, they'll give you the ice answer. But if you push them after a couple drinks, they'll admit the waveform analysis still bothers them. Because whatever made that sound, it was big, it was deep, and it happened in one of the least explored regions of the ocean. Number 9, the Bermuda Triangle body count. Everyone knows the legend. Ships disappear, planes drop out of the sky, compasses go haywire. But let's talk numbers. Between 1945 and 2017, over 50 ships and 20 aircraft have vanished in this stretch of the Atlantic with zero wreckage ever recovered. Flight 19, 5 Navy torpedo bombers, disappeared in 1945 during a routine training mission, 14 crew members, gone. The rescue plane sent to find them, also vanished. 27 people erased in one afternoon. The official explanation always comes back to human error, bad weather, or strong currents. And sure, the Bermuda Triangle sits in one of the busiest shipping lanes on the planet, so statistically, you'd expect some incidents. But here's what gets under your skin: the communication logs. Pilots and ship captains reporting instruments going berserk moments before losing contact. Not gradually, instantly, like someone flipped a switch. In 1968, the USS Scorpion, a nuclear submarine, sank near the triangle's edge. 99 sailors died. The Navy's official cause? Unknown. They found the wreck 5 months later, 3 miles down. But the hull damage didn't match a torpedo, collision, or internal explosion. Something crushed that sub, and the Navy quietly sealed the files. Number 8, underwater structures that predate civilization. Off the coast of Japan, there's a rock formation called Yonaguni. Massive stone blocks, stacked terraces, perfectly straight edges, and what appears to be a carved face staring up from the seafloor. It sits 75 feet down, and geologists agree it's at least 10,000 years old, which means it was built before the last ice age ended, before humans were supposed to have the technology to construct something like this. Some scientists say it's natural, just weird erosion patterns, but then you look at the right angles, the symmetrical platforms, the staircase-like ridges, and you start asking questions. Archaeologists found similar structures off the coast of India near Dwarka and in the Mediterranean near Malta, all underwater, all ancient, all aligned in ways that suggest intentional design. If these were built by humans, that rewrites everything we know about early civilization. If they weren't built by humans, that opens a worse conversation. Either way, they've been down there for millennia, silent, and we only found them by accident. Number 7, the unexplained mass strandings. Whales beach themselves. It happens, but sometimes it happens in a way that breaks the pattern. In 2020, over 400 pilot whales stranded themselves on the coast of Tasmania in one of the largest mass die-offs ever recorded. They swam directly into shallow water, onto the beach, and just stopped. Rescuers managed to save a few dozen, but the rest died. Scientists tested for disease, sonar interference from naval exercises, changes in Earth's magnetic field. Nothing fit. Whales navigate using echolocation and magnetoreception. They don't just forget how oceans work, yet this keeps happening. New Zealand, 2017, over 600 whales. Scotland, 2018, dozens of pilot whales. Each time, researchers look for a cause, and each time they come back with theories, but no proof. Some marine biologists quietly suggest the whales might be fleeing something, moving away from deeper waters in a panic. But that raises the obvious question: fleeing what? Because if something in the deep ocean scares a whale, an animal that weighs 40 tons and has no natural predators, you probably don't want to meet it. Number 6, the Mariana Trench recordings. In 2016, researchers dropped a titanium-encased hydrophone into the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on Earth, nearly 7 miles down. The pressure there is over 8 tons per square inch. Your body would be crushed into a ball the size of a golf ball instantly. Nothing should survive, except they recorded sounds. Not geological rumblings, not shifting tectonic plates, biological sounds, low-frequency moans, clicks, and something that one researcher described as metallic screeching. The audio was released to the public, then quietly pulled offline. NOAA claimed it was baleen whales vocalizing near the surface, with sound traveling down, except the pitch and duration didn't match known whale calls. And the depth was wrong. Whales don't dive anywhere near that deep. A few scientists suggested it could be an unknown species of deep-sea fish, but fish don't produce sounds with that much complexity. Then there's the other problem. In the same expedition, cameras captured movement at depths previously thought uninhabitable. Large, fast-moving shadows crossing the frame just beyond the range of the lights. The footage was analyzed, enhanced, and inconclusive. Whatever it was, it moved with purpose, and it was huge. Number 5. The Devil's Sea disappearances. Everyone obsesses over the Bermuda Triangle, but there's another zone in the Pacific off the coast of Japan called the Devil's Sea, and it has a body count that's somehow worse. Between 1950 and 1954, Japan lost 5 military vessels in this area. Not damaged, not sunk in storms, vanished. Over 700 people erased without a single distress signal. In 1952, the Japanese government sent a research ship, the Kaiomaru No. 5, to investigate. It disappeared too. 31 scientists gone. After that, Japan officially declared the area a danger zone and stopped trying to explain it. The region sits on top of heavy volcanic activity, underwater methane vents, and magnetic anomalies that throw off navigation equipment. But none of that explains the pattern. Ships don't just evaporate. They leave debris, oil slicks, wreckage. In the Devil's Sea, nothing. Locals have stories going back centuries about dragons and sea demons, which sounds like folklore until you realize the stories describe massive disturbances in the water, whirlpools opening without warning, and lights under the surface. Something about that specific stretch of ocean behaves differently, and modern science still can't tell you why. Number 4. The Atlantic Ghost Ships. In 2006, a yacht called the Kaz II was found drifting off the coast of Australia. Engine running, table set for dinner, laptop still on, GPS functioning, 3 experienced sailors completely gone. No distress call, no signs of struggle. The life raft was still secured on deck, which means they didn't abandon ship. They just vanished mid-voyage. This isn't a one-off. Ghost ships turn up with disturbing regularity, floating intact with no crew. The Mary Celeste is the most famous. Found in 1872, sails set, cargo untouched, captain's log ending mid-sentence. 10 people erased. In 2003, the High Aim 6 was discovered adrift in Australian waters. The crew of 10, gone. Food still warm in the galley. In 2013, a North Korean ghost ship washed ashore in Japan with skeletonized remains of the crew still aboard. They'd been dead for months, but the boat kept drifting. Investigators try to explain these with piracy, rogue waves, or crew panic, but none of that accounts for the lack of evidence. People don't just walk off boats in the middle of the ocean. Something makes them leave, or something takes them. And whatever it is, it's been happening for over a century. Number 3. The underwater sound anomaly called Julia. In 1999, NOAA's hydrophones picked up another sound, different from the bloop. This one lasted 15 seconds, loud enough to be heard across multiple sensors in the Pacific, and it had a rising and falling pattern that sounded disturbingly like a voice. They named it Julia. The sound source was never identified. Analysis suggested it came from the Antarctic, somewhere near the Southern Ocean. Some researchers thought it might be an iceberg scraping the ocean floor, but the acoustic profile didn't match. Others suggested an underwater volcanic event, but there was no corresponding seismic activity. The sound had this haunting quality, like something calling out. Marine biologists ran it through comparison databases of every known marine animal vocalization. No matches. Whatever produced Julia, it wasn't cataloged, it wasn't familiar. And after that single 15-second burst, it never repeated. Imagine being deep underwater, surrounded by absolute darkness, and hearing that echo past you. Something loud enough to carry across thousands of miles. Something biological but unrecognizable. That's what's down there. Number 2. The USS Cyclops disappearance. March 1918. The USS Cyclops, a massive Navy cargo ship carrying over 300 crew and passengers, vanished without a trace in the Bermuda Triangle. No wreckage, no bodies, no SOS. It's the single largest loss of life in U.S. naval history, not involving combat. The ship was 542 feet long, built to withstand rough seas, captained by an experienced officer. It left Barbados, bound for Baltimore, and never arrived. Search parties found nothing. Theories range from German U-boat attack to structural failure to mutiny. But every theory hits the same wall. Ships that size don't just sink without leaving evidence, they break apart. Debris floats, oil spreads, lifeboats deploy. The Cyclops left zero trace, as if it dropped through a hole in the ocean. And here's the disturbing part. Two of the Cyclops' sister ships, the Proteus and the Nereus, also disappeared in the same region in 1941. Same conditions, same lack of wreckage, same total silence. Three identical ships, all lost in the same stretch of water, 23 years apart. The Navy classified the files and moved on. Number 1. The 2023 Deep Sea Discovery. In May 2023, a research team mapping the ocean floor off the coast of Namibia found something on sonar that shouldn't exist. A symmetrical structure, roughly the size of a football stadium, sitting 2 miles down in complete darkness. The shape was too regular to be geological, straight edges, circular openings. The team sent down a remote-operated vehicle with cameras. What they recorded has not been fully released to the public, but the stills that leaked show smooth surfaces, angular designs, and what appears to be an entrance. Marine archaeologists were called in. Geologists were called in. Nobody could agree on what they were looking at. The structure is covered in bioluminescent organisms, which means it's been down there long enough for an entire ecosystem to develop around it. Carbon dating on the surrounding sediment suggests it's at least 20,000 years old. Humans didn't have the technology to build underwater structures 20,000 years ago. We barely had boats. Some researchers are suggesting it's a natural formation, just a weird coincidence of erosion and rock. But the sonar scans show chambers inside, hollow spaces, rooms. The team tried to send the ROV deeper into the structure and the connection cut out. When they retrieved the vehicle, the camera was destroyed, crushed by something, not pressure. The housing was intact. Something else broke it. The site has been marked, studied, and quietly restricted. No public dive permits, no independent research allowed. And that's where the story stops. Because when governments start restricting access to underwater discoveries, it usually means they found something they don't want you asking about. So here's what we know. The ocean makes sounds we can't identify, swallows ships and planes without leaving evidence, and hides structures that predate recorded history. We've explored less than 5% of it. The rest is waiting, and based on everything we've found so far, maybe it's better if some mysteries stay unsolved. Check out what happens when deep sea creatures get dragged to the surface. Trust me, you'll never look at the ocean the same way again.